What is atheism? That is the big question we are asking today. Is it a small question? I often wonder, but I feel like this is one of those big questions which nobody really asks. And I thought it's a good time to ask this question for multiple reasons. And you will see why. And based on the guest that I have today, we have as our expert, I would call him an expert actually, Vijayendra Mohanty, and we have as our union leader of spectators, Masoom Rajwani. Hello,
Hi.
hello guys. Welcome to
Hi.
ELI10. This is guys ELI10 where we ask small questions with some big answers. But today it's a big question with some very big complex answers. Now I have to tell the listeners and the viewers that Vimoh had no idea that Masoom was coming, and Masoom had no idea that Vimoh was coming. So let me introduce them to each other first. Okay, so Vimoh is a, how would I describe him? He's a storyteller. Okay, Masoom, he's a science fiction writer, and he's also I would actually describe him as a modern day philosopher in a lot of ways. And हंस रहा है मेरे पे, but trust me, he is. And he runs a podcast which is centered around atheism. So that is one of his recurring topics on the podcast, right? So that's
Yeah.
why I thought I would get him, right? Then okay, so let me introduce Masoom. Masoom is a comedian, and should I tell him your claim to fame?
Yeah, go for it, man.
Please do. I know nothing about Masoom.
Yes, so Masoom got into trouble a few years ago as a comedian for things that comedians get into trouble for these days,
Oh, okay.
making
Yeah.
allegedly making jokes which offend people. And he was caught in a bit of a tricky situation with Kunal Kamra and other BJP people. So that is Masoom's claim to fame abhi ke liye. But I know he's a great comedian. I really like his videos.
I like how came that came later. First is the controversy.
Yes.
That's,
It's relevant to the topic today, okay, Masu?
I know.
You were picked for a reason.
it happens, man.
I
It
knew.
happens. I had a cousin whose claim to fame was that he broke his leg in school. No matter what he does, his father always introduces him as, "This is my son, jiska tang toota tha."
Yeah, that's why I'm in the comedy scene until other people get attacked. That was my claim to fame.
Oh, ये मासूम है, इसको पीटा था.
Huh.
But Masoom, so the topic for today is what is atheism? And I want your initial thoughts first about this question. Are you comfortable? Are you
Yeah, yeah.
okay?
Yeah, yeah. What is का तो answer नहीं है मेरे पास. The way
Hmm.
I look at it is, until science has proven something, I won't believe in it. So you can have your own set of beliefs, and I can disagree with you. The day you claim or you can prove that God exists or XYZ supernatural power, spiritual thing exists, I don't mind believing in what you believe. But I am open
Interesting.
to the I am open to the idea of, I don't know this is the exact version of atheism or this is just the way I believe in it. But जब तक प्रूव नहीं हुआ है मैं नहीं मानूंगा. बट अगर तुमने प्रूव कर लिया तो मैं मानने के लिए रेडी हूं. आई हैव दैट leap key.
Yeah.
I don't mind accepting your faith and the way you live. If you prove me wrong, I don't want to be that cocky person who's like तुम ही गलत हो और जितना साइंस ने प्रूव किया उतना एब्सोल्यूट ट्रूथ है.
Hmm. That's actually interesting. That's an interesting way to start this podcast. Vimoh, before I come to you, I want to give a big disclaimer today. Big disclaimer being that this podcast will challenge you. This podcast will discuss some concepts which might cause you to have a headache. And I don't think people give that disclaimer often when philosophical topics are discussed, but it has happened to me that some mind-blowing high-level concept has come to me and my head started hurting. So this might be one of those podcasts for you. If you are someone who will get offended by whatever we are about to discuss, please, ek to maybe don't listen. But other than that, if you want to listen, then tolerate it a little bit. And if you are someone who is very confused about their religious identity right now, because a lot of people are, or are confused about their faith, or are confused about just generally what to believe in, then this is the perfect conversation for you? That is how I would start this podcast. Vimoh, what is atheism?
Atheism, the word simply means not believing in God or gods or any kind of deity. And what Masoom said was actually a very good starting point for most people, because most people, like, there is an academic definition of atheism, which is that you say that there is no God. But from most atheists, what you will get is something that is philosophically known as agnostic atheism, which means that your position is that I don't know if there is a God, but because I don't know, if I don't know whether something exists or not, why would I believe in it? And therefore, it is not so much that I'm saying that God does not exist, as I am saying that I lack belief in the claim that you are making about the existence of God or gods.
Hmm.
So that's where we're starting, and I'm glad about the disclaimer you make. However, if it was up to me, I would say if you find yourself uncomfortable with these conversations, this is definitely a podcast you should listen to, because more such conversations need to happen, as opposed to people saying नहीं ये मुझे बहुत uncomfortable कर रहा है मैं निकल रहा हूँ अभी मैं जाके वो
Yeah.
चीज़ सुनूंगा जो मुझे अच्छी लगती है.
But that's a very rare situation, Vimo, nowadays, because I feel like a lot of people also listen to things just to get offended, and then like about go to social media and sort of start
Yeah.
outraging about it.
Yeah.
So this might be one of those moments for them, which is fine. Do that
Hmm.
by all means. मुझे ज़्यादा views मिलेंगे.
I'm
Great.
not worried about
Uh,
them. I'm worried about us.
about us.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm worried about.
Yeah, Masoom, do you want to give any disclaimers?
ना मैन, तो ये लोग डिस्क्लेमर सुनने वालों में से नहीं है. जिनको ऑफेंस लेना है वो ऑफेंस लेने के इंटेंशन से आते हैं एंड नथिंग
Yeah,
स्टॉप्स देम.
Ah, yeah.
that's also
So
true.
also
Okay,
the
so
way I'm sorry for doing this. The way discuss we discuss on logic. They don't counter argue on logic. So there's no point of a
fair
disclaimer.
point.
अगर हम लोग बोलेंगे ये लॉजिक है एंड देयर काउंटर आर्गुमेंट इस तरह घर तोड़ देंगे, then you can't debate with them.
No, something funny happens to me. Every single person who says that I will logically prove that God exists, if you have a conversation with me, they only want to have a conversation in comments where they can copy paste lines from somewhere else or share links, etc. I say, come to my live stream, turn your webcam on, and talk to me face to face. Nobody
Hmm.
ever agrees. Very few people agree,
That's
but most
interesting.
people don't agree.
Hmm.
They like
They
to
must
say
be,
that they're being logical, but they're actually not.
but you know, as so Vimo, just to tell you more about Vimo Masoom, he's a declared atheist, right?
All right.
Would that be correct to put it, Vimo?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
मेरे चैनल के
Is it
बैनर पे लिखा
self
हुआ है इट्स अ शो अबाउट एथिज्म एंड कल्चर.
all
Yeah.
right, self declared, not like Twitter declared. बाकी लोगों ने नहीं लेबल किया.
नहीं नहीं. Self
नहीं
declared.
मैंने
That
डिक्लेयर किया उसके बाद लोगों ने बोला ओके सो आई गेस दैट आल्सो इज सम काइंड ऑफ एंडोर्समेंट.
Yeah.
fair enough.
And it's very interesting because so there are some popular people who have declared themselves as atheists as well, like
Yes.
SS Rajmouli has declared
Hmm.
himself as an atheist. Then a few Tony Joseph, who is a popular author, he also considers himself as an atheist.
Hmm.
Vimo, what made you sort of say that you're an atheist, and how did you get there is my question.
How I got there is a longer conversation, but I think a short version of it would be uh, I watched a lot of Western atheist shows which used to periodically poke fun at Islam and Christianity, and I was like, ah, ha, 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 kitne silly dharma hai." And
Hmm.
then one day I realized, wait, does any of this apply to my own religion, which is Hinduism? And then because I am always someone of a very self-critical nature, I like evaluate my own things way harder than most other people do. Uh, I came to the conclusion that yeah, the differences that we are proud of कि वो Abrahamic religions हैं हम लोग नहीं हैं are
Hmm.
actually not really that solid, because at the end
Hmm.
of the day we are all believing in some kind of supernatural claims, reincarnation, karma, etc. उनके gods personal हैं, हमारे gods impersonal हैं. Even if you like, there are mythological beliefs and then there are philosophical beliefs.
Hmm.
बट एट द एंड ऑफ द डे उनका फाउंडेशन सब वही है. मतलब there is an entire category of people who like to call themselves Hindu atheists, which is another kind of nonsense that if I talk, this podcast will be twice the length.
No, but
So
please
I
do. That's the point, Vimo. This is ELI10 where
yeah,
we
yeah, yeah,
have
yeah.
big answers.
Yeah, that I'm worried about the 10 part, because this is probably 11 level stuff.
Masoom,
But
if you want to play a 10-year-old, please, that is your
Oh
role
my God, I
today.
would love to. As long as I'm
Yes.
not being beaten up for asking, I would love to.
No,
oh
but
yeah,
you know,
absolutely. Well, the
that's the entire.
surefire way of not attracting their attention is to not give opinions, instead just ask questions.
Yeah.
If
And
that's what
that's
you're
what.
That's
comfortable
true.
doing, that's also okay.
That's true.
And also that's what, Masoom, your role can be today, right? For example, if you feel like, there are certain questions that you want to ask Vimoh, please go ahead, please interrupt.
All right.
That is
Done.
your job. Right?
Done.
But Masoom, let's start with you also, because the way you defined it, the way you defined what you said, that you're open to sort of, if someone proves it,
Yeah.
that you're open to sort of having a faith or a belief system, right? um I would define you as maybe an agnostic. Is that correct, Vimo?
Agnostic atheist.
Yeah. I'm an
Agnostic
agnostic.
atheist.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're an agnostic atheist, right? So how, what got you here?
Uh, I, a lot of people are always taught, do this because God is watching or XYZ person is watching, and this will be the end result. You will go to heaven or hell.
Right.
And I always thought, if that person doesn't exist, then can you get away by doing anything? Because once it's proven that that deity doesn't exist, फिर तो तुम जाके रास्ते पे किसी को भी लात मारो, कुत्ते के पूंछ पे
Hmm.
बॉम्ब फोड़ो, because then there
Yeah,
is no
yeah.
consequence to it. The
Hmm.
Hmm.
reason why you're being a nice person is because you're being promised heaven and hell, or hell, and not because you're inherently a nice person. Your morals are being dictated by a result,
Yeah,
a
Hmm.
yeah.
Hmm.
consequence,
Hmm.
and not because you are actually a nice person. अगर ये सब हम लोग हटा दे और हमारा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन लॉ सब हटा दे, तो कितने लोग क्रिमिनल्स रहेंगे, कितने लोग क्राइम करना ओके समझेंगे, बिकॉज
Hmm.
देयर इज नो कॉन्सिक्वेंस टू इट. That's when I was like,
So you are
There's
looking at faith, or let's say you're looking at God as this being which sort of decides morality for society. Let's put it
yes,
that way,
yes.
right? But then that changed somehow for you.
I'm just like, if I have to be a nice person, I don't need anyone to tell me. Also, niceness keeps changing from time to time.
Sure.
The
It depends
more
on the
people,
situation, essentially.
right, the more people evolve, the more niceness or progressive thinking keeps changing from time to time. So I can't base my life on a principle that was decided a while ago, my current situation, or the future. I
hmm.
need to evaluate क्या हो रहा है and then be like ये सही है या गलत है.
Vimo, you were saying something?
I was saying ki this point about God being the God or gods or religion being the source of morality is a point that is raised by. Uh, okay, I'll be a little nuanced here. It is primarily raised by Abrahamic religions because morality as a thing that comes from God is a huge thing there. But I've also seen this raised among Indic religions or dharmic people from dharmic backgrounds. And the best rebuttal to it is what Masoom just said. If you think morality is objective, that it does not change, then my question to you is, will you commit murder if your God asks you to? If your answer is no, then you are obviously someone who does not believe in God. If your answer is
Right,
yes, then it's not objective. It depends on the whims and fancies of a conscious being. So it's
Hmm.
subjective. So it's a good rebuttal. And the morality point is actually a thing. It's a curious thing. People think it is the strongest argument in favor of the religion. It's actually the weakest.
Hmm. There is this one question that actually comes very often when it comes to atheism, right? Which I think we need to address right at the beginning. Is atheism also a religion, right? I don't know why this argument comes, because I feel like we are so tuned in, our brains are so tuned in to sort of believe in something, believe in a
Hmm.
faith, believe in a higher power, believe in something that we don't understand. Let's put it that way. That when I meet someone like you, right, which is Vimo, right, and you say that I genuinely don't believe in what you believe in, or what this, that there is a superior being or whatever, it is as it is right now in front of me,
Hmm.
around me, it gets a little confusing, right? And therefore maybe this question comes: is atheism, is not believing in something also believing in something which is a religion?
we
Well,
need to define what a religion is firstly.
that's
Yeah,
exactly what I was
sure.
about to ask. So
Yes,
the question should be define the religion first, and then I
yes.
can tell
Hmm.
you if atheism is that. So what is,
Let's.
in your opinion, religion, Meghnad?
I think it's just a particular system which is about worshipping a higher being, right? It can be any sort of system, and it is about faith, right? So
What's a
religion is
high?
about faith.
What's a higher being?
So higher being is some being which is all superior, is timeless, right? So the like a god I would define as someone who exists in the past, future, and present at the same time. So infinite being is
By
also
that logic,
omnipresent.
by that logic, are we gods to fruit flies? Because fruit flies live for 3 days. We existed
But
in their
then
past, their present, and their future, and we are timeless from their perspective, and we are something bigger.
we aren't, though. If there is a fruit fly scientist out there, he will probably discover one day that no, actually, these things we thought that we're living forever, they also die, by the way.
Right.
So
So you're
yeah,
you're you're using immortality and not uncreated and undying as a criteria.
explain.
When you define God or a higher being, you are using your definition says that this higher being was neither created nor destroyed,
Uh,
neither was created nor will be destroyed.
it's infinite, yes.
Okay.
But that's what. So, Masum, how would you define God? Let's start from there also. Like, let's get ready.
God or religion?
Religion and God both. Let's do both.
God, though, I'm so far away from that concept that I don't know how to define God anymore. uh,
Okay, interesting.
Mine is I wouldn't define it because it's none of my business. The person who believes in God, they will give the definition, right?
yes,
And then I can
yes,
say whether or not it's acceptable
yes,
or believable to me,
yes.
But
right?
but as a person, how do you look at it then? I mean, sure, I agree with you, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
every person would define it differently. But what
Huh,
would
no,
you define
the
it
point
as?
that you made earlier that we naturally have this inclination, etc. I think there is very solid grounds to think that human beings do have a natural inclination to believe in supernatural entities that are more powerful than them.
Sure.
But there is evolutionary reasons behind it. One of them is called had, hyperactive agent detection, and that
Okay.
means that at some point of time in the past किसी जंगल में से कोई आदि मानव गुजर रहा था. उस जंगल में उसको बहुत सारी चीज़ें दिख नहीं रही थी, लाइक देयर इज़ फॉरेस्ट, स्नेक साउंड्स, लायन साउंड्स, ट्रीज़, स्केरी शैडोज़, मे बी गड्ढे होंगे वगैरह, वगैरह. सम ऑफ दीज़ थिंग्स ही हैज़ एनकाउंटर्ड इन द पास्ट. वो गड्ढों में गिरा है, वो शेरों से
Hmm.
भागा है, एंड सम ऑफ द थिंग्स ही हैज़ नो आइडिया व्हाट दे आर, राइट?
Sure.
So the way the human brain solved this problem was by creating nameless beings with agency in the darkness. So
Hmm.
the human being who's passing through a situation where he does not have full control or knowledge starts imagining beings which not only exist but have the intention to affect him,
Hmm.
like damage him, etc. And there is proof of this in all of our lives. अंधेरे कमरे में sound होता है तो हमको
I
लगता है
will,
कोई है.
if I
Yes.
may interrupt. So it's
Yeah.
like if I had to break it down a little more, right? So for example, I am this Adi Manav person who
Hmm.
is like running around in the forest and like killing animals, etc. Right now,
Hmm.
there is a drought. Right, I don't understand what is happening. There is a
Hmm.
sudden drought where
Hmm.
water dries up, my entire village is suffering, my family is suffering, etc. I do not understand how this happened, because for these many years that I was alive, let's say I'm like 20 years old, I have never faced a situation like this. So because I don't understand, you say what you're saying is I will fill my head with something which is, oh, there is this being that is now like vengefully affecting me because I have probably done something bad.
Yeah. No,
Is
that would grow from what I am describing. Mine, what I am describing is more immediate. Like
okay.
अंधेरे में कोई साउंड होता है तुम इमीडिएटली घूम के देखते हो, एंड
Sure.
उससे एक एडवांटेज मिलता है हमको, और वो ये है कि मे बी भूत नहीं है, देवता नहीं है, मे बी कोई मतलब एनिमल स्पिरिट नहीं है जो तुमको मारना चाहता है, बट यू बिकम केयरफुल, यू स्टार्ट लुकिंग अराउंड, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ
Right.
दैट यू एस्केप द लायन, बेयर, द गड्ढा, द सांप, एटसेट्रा. So imagining supernatural entities has an evolutionary advantage, and it stayed in us and it's still there. So jab drought aaya, it was this same tendency which created the rain gods, because you feel
So,
grateful,
hmm.
and the gratefulness has to go somewhere, it can't remain inside you, so you create a thing in order to be grateful towards.
But also the blame has to go somewhere as well, right?
The blame usually went to unhi beings ke upar, but because they are so powerful that you can't do anything to them. It goes to not their evil but their anger, and then it returns back to you. मैंने ही कुछ किया होगा.
हाँ.
We have angered the gods. We have done something that has caused the gods to visit us with pestilence, disease, famine,
I
etc., etc.
I think if you keep attributing whatever happens in your life to another supernatural being who's higher on a pedestal, you
Hmm.
already develop inferiority complex
Yeah,
and you are like ये मेरी ही गलती होगी,
yeah, yeah.
मैंने ही कुछ किया रहेगा जिसकी वजह से मेरे गांव में ड्रॉट आया है और फिर मैं किसी की बलि चढ़ाऊंगा तो खुश होके बारिश आएगी, which
Hmm.
is
And our inferiority complex is kind of inescapable because we don't have full control over our lives. There is always going to be parts of our life that we are unhappy about and we can't do anything about. So our literature since the beginning of time has been about dealing with grief. Our cinema has been about grief. Grief is an integral part of the human condition, and that is why religion survives. By the way, Meghnad, I would just like to point out that if you were an Adimanav at the age of 20, you would be an old man because the average life
I
expectancy was
know.
30
That's what
years.
I was saying. Yes, absolutely. I was just yeah, exactly. Like मेरा तो life तो 10 साल में खत्म होने वाला है, right? So I will tell at the age of 28, I will be telling my grandchildren that listen, when I was like 20 years old, यहाँ पे एक drought आया था बेटा, और फिर हमने ये कुछ तो भी
उसको
उसने
सॉल्व
ही
करने का यही तरीका है.
exactly. He did
तुम
some
में से एक का
random
बलि देना
ritual.
पड़ेगा.
Yeah.
Vimo, I wanted to ask this. If you are saying that there is a natural inclination to attributing things to others, which
Hmm.
means it's instinctive, right?
Yeah.
That means this will never go away. For how
Uh,
many ever years humans exist, we will keep believing in some form of God or the other because it's
so
evolutionary and it's from within.
yeah, so it's evolutionary and it has grown to a certain degree today. For the first time in the history of humanity, we are looking at the universe as it is and
Hmm.
not as we had imagined it to be.
Right,
So we are at the very infancy of a greater understanding of the universe. So when we look at, अभी जो space telescope भेजा है, उसका क्या नाम था? The
JWST. James Webb.
JWST,
James
James
Webb
Webb
Space
Space
Telescope.
Telescope. So we are looking at faraway galaxies. We are looking at stars. We are even re understanding some of the things that we thought we knew for
right,
sure.
right,
So we are right now in a place where we got to because that Adimanav saw some supernatural being in a jungle. The
right,
things that we are experiencing right now may very well give rise to a different way of thinking in the coming centuries or millennia, which will cause us to snap out of this. But the
Hmm.
end result is that we are tribal beings. Tribes can be surrounded, tribes can be built around supernatural beings, gods, or tribes can be built around football clubs or comic cons
right,
or
right.
democracy or marketing or podcasting, right?
Yeah.
So I think the thing that is going to be the greatest possible resistance against organized religion is removing focus from religion and putting it on other kinds of communities,
Kim
because religious
Kardashian.
anything
Yeah,
that is actually, I saw a video yesterday which was about what our new idolatry, and there was a picture of Kim Kardashian there.
I mean, it makes perfect
Celebrity culture
sense,
is
though.
religion.
Yeah, it
yes,
makes
yes,
perfect
yes.
sense because,
Yeah,
like all these motivational speakers right now, for
yeah.
example, right? They have their own following, and whatever they say their followers believe. So, in a way, the followers, as Masoom has put them on a higher pedestal. They're
Hmm.
very real, right? But they're still telling them what to do. So,
Yeah,
in a way, they're also like sort of giving up responsibility of their lives to like someone else who they consider uh,
Right,
on a higher
right, right.
pedestal,
yeah,
right?
yeah. And it's
Um,
actually not that far removed from actual religion either. The motivational speaker wala culture started in America, and some of the first people and some of the most popular motivational speakers came from an evangelical Christian background. एंड यू विल
hmm,
सी दैट इवन टुडे हमारे जो सबसे पॉपुलर मोटिवेशनल गुरु लोग हैं, वो सब अपर कास्ट हिंदू बैकग्राउंड से हैं, जो कि किसी ना किसी फॉर्म में रिलीजियस आइडियाज को ही प्रोपोगेट कर रहे हैं.
right.
Yes,
But
yes,
या
that's what I was coming to, right? That in a very real way, right? Like the preachers, the people who are evangelists of a particular religion, are essentially telling you how to be good, right? In
या
a society, how to live, how to be good, etc. But the people who flock to them would be those who do not have control over their lives,
Yeah.
or they
Hmm.
have a lack of
Hmm.
understanding of the
Hmm.
world around them, right?
Yes.
So my follow up question to that would be, and I think it will take from what Masoom also said, right? How evolution, if it's evolutionary, it will never go away. I feel like, is it even possible to know everything? Because that is where we come, right? Where it's like, if we know everything, then God doesn't exist anymore, because it's an unknown that ceases to
Right.
exist, right? So is it even possible to know everything, or
Wait,
have
are you asking
answers
me?
for everything? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Vimo and Masoom
No,
both.
I think it's a no. And I purely say that because अगर मेरे को खुद के बारे में और खुद के लाइफ के बारे में लाइफ खत्म होने तक नहीं समझता है, there is no way I can understand and know whatever exists in the universe, ocean. I know very little. The laptop
Yeah.
that I'm using right now, मेरे को इसके बारे में सब नहीं पता. मेरे को मेरे घर की चीजें नहीं पता है.
Right.
So,
But you don't attribute that to a god, though, right? You don't
father,
say
yeah,
God
he
built this
buys it, man.
laptop, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
I
because
mean,
if we
so
take,
here's the thing.
yeah.
Here's the thing. Because science is developed enough, I know laptop कौन बनाता है.
Hmm.
Ah, yes.
Like I have an answer. अगर यही laptop you take it to 1945 and show it to my grandfather, they'll have no clue.
Hmm.
They
Hmm.
will be like ये कहीं बाहर से आया है.
एलियन
Yeah. Yeah.
टेक्नोलॉजी आया है, या
Dude,
फिर
just go back
भगवान
to
ने
Stone Age.
दिया है.
Yeah, go back to Stone Age और वहां पे lighter निकाल. We know how the lighter functions, but वो
Yeah.
लोग के लिए वो लोग पत्थर किसके करते? So they will be like ये भगवान है, future से है. We don't know how this technology came about. Because I
Interesting.
have an answer to this, I know कि laptop कोई तो बच्चा बना है, कोई तो factory में.
Yeah. Masoom
So
has a frame of reference for technology.
yeah, but that's what Vimo. So that's what I was asking. That okay, let's put it this way, right? So, as a collective, right? Now, what Masoom is describing, let's just put it. मैं Google कर लेगा, you
Hmm.
know.
Yes,
मैं गूगल कर लेगा ये लैपटॉप कैसे चलता है, हाँ मैं गूगल कर लेगा ना, मेरे को पता चलेगा, 2-3 वीडियो देख लूंगा, एट दैट एटलीस्ट आई गेट लाइक अ बेसिक अंडरस्टैंडिंग, राइट?
yes.
कि हाँ ये इधर से उधर जाता है, ये स्क्रीन में ये वायर इधर जाता है, व्हाटएवर, राइट? आई मीन जो भी यू हैव लाइक अ लेवल ऑफ अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ हाउ अ लैपटॉप शुड वर्क, राइट?
Yeah.
But again, as a collective, if we know everything, will atheism become a very real thing?
I don't think we'll get there, honestly, because, like Masoom said, there are so many things to know in life itself that, like, it's not like humanity does not know. Uh, how do I put it? A couple of days ago, I was giving you this example of someone saying that peacocks reproduce by crying. Male peacock cries
Yeah.
and female peacock drinks their tears and then gets pregnant, right? It's
Right.
not like we don't know how peacocks reproduce,
Right.
That's true.
right?
Right.
Right? It is widely known how reproduction works. And yet, there are gatherings of thousands of people who will fold their hands and listen to someone tell them that male peacock cries, female peacock drinks their tears and then becomes pregnant. So it's not about knowledge. It's not about knowing. It's about the desire to believe, and which is, as we established, kind of evolutionary, and it is not going to go away. So even if absolute knowledge exists, we might have gods or deities who are based on knowledge itself, like a god of geology. After you have
True.
learned everything about Earth, there is now a god of geology, and somebody there is, I think, an inherent need to mythologize things or sacredify them in the
Hmm.
human being, which is a good thing in that it has helped us create democracy and other systems and institutions. It's a bad thing in that we created systems a long time ago that were useful then, but they are not useful now, and yet they stick on to society like dried up mud, and eventually they will have to fall off.
They
Hmm.
never get updated. And once
Yeah.
you bring up the conversation about it being updated, they blame you as your anti X religion, Y religion,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you go against whatever was taught back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I agree. And here is where we have to take a short break. We will be right back. And then after the break, I will tell you about some very commonly used arguments to prove that atheism is actually a thing. Hello and welcome back to ELI10, where we ask some small questions with big answers. And the big question we are asking today, not a small question, a big question, is what is atheism? And before the break, I told you that there are a few reasons why, rationale, I would call it, why people don't believe in a higher being, right? So I wanted to take you one by one through that, or take you as in I wanted to get your views on it, etc. One argument that is made for the non-existence of God, which actually Masoom used first, is the lack of evidence, right? There is no evidence.
Hmm.
How do we get evidence, though? How do you prove that? I mean,
Uh,
again, that is one rhetorical question. I know it's a very annoying rhetorical question which
no, I have a
believers
counter
use.
to this.
Yeah,
Why
go on.
is it on the atheist to prove that God exists? If it's
Yeah.
your belief, you prove it. You say,
There
Yeah,
is
no,
such a there is such a thing as burden of proof, right? If someone
yes,
is
yes,
making the
burden of proof
claim, they
तुम्हारे
have the
पे
burden of proof. Yeah.
why do they turn around and be like तुम प्रूव करो ना, तुम्हारा लाइफ तुमने ये मॉरल्स पे बेस किया है, तो तुम प्रूव करो तुम ऐसा क्यों बिहेव कर रहे हो.
Yeah.
मैं तो प्रूव
right.
In
कर
fact,
सकता हूँ कि मैं ऐसा बिहेव कर रहा हूँ क्योंकि मैं साइंस में मानता हूँ. इट्स इजी फॉर मी टू प्रूव माय स्टैंड.
hmm.
Hmm.
आई
सॉरी
थिंक
कट यू ऑफ.
ये जो आर्ग्यूमेंट है ना, जो तुम प्रूव करो कि भगवान नहीं है, this is quite A, it is lazy, and B, it's extremely common because no matter when, how, which religion's person I'm talking to, every single time the point is somehow uh, तुम प्रूव करो. जो बर्डन ऑफ
Hmm.
प्रूफ मेरे ऊपर है वो तुम ले लो प्लीज.
Hmm.
So uh, it's not up to the person. Like if I was saying that there is no God, and there are atheists who do this, by the way, and I don't agree with them. If I was
Right.
saying that there is no God, then I would have to prove it because I'm making a claim. But I'm not. I'm simply
But you're
saying
not,
that
right?
I
Yeah.
lack belief in your claim.
Precisely. That
Yeah.
was what I was coming to. So essentially,
Yeah.
when you're saying there is no God, you're
Hmm.
essentially saying that your belief system is something that I do not have to believe in because I believe in like concrete evidence,
Yeah.
right?
In
Right.
fact, UK में कुछ टाइम पहले हुआ था. Richard Dawkins sponsored a bus. Right? The bus went around London, and even on that bus said it said there is probably no God.
What?
Oh.
Oh,
He didn't say there is no God. He said there is
Yeah.
probably no God. So just have fun with your life.
interesting.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting approach. But then, so if you had to put in an evidence, right? Let's talk about that. Like, what is an evidence that can be put before you which will make you believe in a god? Okay, Masoom, you already were open to it. So what sort of evidence would you need to have faith in a higher power?
The most common thing that religious people do is that they pray and then they ask for something. So if you can prove
Okay.
that your prayer is being answered, मेरे को ये 50-50 वाला नहीं चाहिए कि हमने प्रे किया और हमने लड़का मांगा तो लड़का हो गया. मेरे को
Huh.
ये नहीं चाहिए. आस्क फॉर समथिंग डेफिनेट
Specific.
कि या मैं अभी प्रे कर रहा हूँ, मैं जब तक घर पहुंचू मुझे मेरे घर के सब वॉल लाल पेंट करके चाहिए और घर लॉक्ड है. व्हेन यू एंटर द हाउस इज रेड, आई एम लाइक आई या चलो चलो मैं वापस तुम्हारे साथ आ रहा हूँ जहाँ पे भी तुम प्रे करते हो. I'll ask for a
I'm
better
just
life.
imagining Masoom gets home and there's some guy jumping out the window and running away. And Masoom is like, God, God, wait, God.
So even my
I
hypothetical.
am actually imagining Masoom with a laptop, right? And he is basically taking notes कि आज मैंने pray किया था कि मेरे को एक toffee मिलेगा, right? And then if he actually gets a toffee, yes, 1 point God. Then
Yeah,
like
you
he's
have
just doing
to.
it repetitively, creating a data set to prove essentially that God exists.
Yeah, you need to do it multiple times. ये
Yeah.
one off or 50-50 वाला नहीं चाहिए. I think George Carlin had a great bit and an argument. He is like अगर तुम्हारे प्रे करने से भगवान मानता है या XYZ whatever you call your deity, if that person is agreeing to whatever you're asking, then is there really a divine plan
Hmm.
कि सब भगवान के हिसाब से ही होता है? And
Yeah.
if there is
Yeah.
a divine plan, then what's the point of praying, because that person is going to do whatever they have planned to do regardless.
Hmm.
The
Which,
weirdest part of this is the only, like, there are so many internal inconsistencies, like Masoom just pointed out. But the only way it is not inconsistent is if God made you an atheist, made you pray for that thing, and then gave you that thing in order to prove that He exists.
Oh, this
If
is
that is the
interesting.
case, if that is the case, we are all automatons. None of this
right.
But
is
that's what I'm
happening
saying. It's
according to
it's a
our will.
paradox then. It's
Yeah.
actually a paradox, right? If God
Mm,
created everything, then God also created Vimoh, who does not believe in God. So why would
Yeah.
he do that? Why? And why is it a he? Why would they do that? So it's like
It's
a
also like, God created me. Like I can ask a religious person, why are you angry with me? If God did everything, then he did this also. Just live with me.
Right.
Exactly.
Also, why do you need to fight with me if you believe that people get punished for their sins at the end of their life? Why do you have to take the onus and send death threats and throw stones?
Yeah, exactly.
Just wait for me
Exactly.
to die eventually. Don't kill me. Wait for me to die. फिर जो भी होना हो जाएगा. But
Of
then
Yeah,
old
Vimo,
age. Wait for
of
me
right?
to
old
die
age.
of really old age.
Here's the thing: religious people are also a little agnostic because their worry is, what if the deity we
Yeah.
believe in doesn't exist? तो इसको justice मिलेगा ही नहीं.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
need to take things into my hand because even I am not 100% sure कि कुछ होता है कि नहीं. You have never contacted anyone from the afterlife. तुम्हें नहीं पता
Hmm.
heaven है कि hell है नहीं है. So their only thing is हम मानते हैं, but in case नहीं हुआ तो हम लोग अभी इसको धमकी दे देते.
That is
Just in case.
actually, but that's what I was actually going to. That was my second point. Also, what you said about having a moral compass, right? It also applies here, where if if you had to define, if you had to logically look at like every religion or every faith, right, the reason why people have faith is because they genuinely believe that their faith is making them behave like good human beings, right? Like good members of society, good human beings. Like there are so many religions which have practices that involve charity, right? Where Muslims have it, Sikhs have it. Like if you go to a gurudwara, you'll get free food all the time, right? And delicious free food which is done with utmost faith involved
Yeah.
in it, right? Farmers protest when I went to it was stunning to see how much faith can do when it comes to dissent, right? Because we always see faith being used to prop up those in power, but
Yeah.
here there was the opposite example where faith was used to dissent, where Gurudwara committees came together and they established these places which were feeding literally 10,000 people a day. It was ridiculous, right? They were having pizzas, they were having everything, and uska bhi bawal kar diya कि ये pizza कैसे खा सकते हो types. But
Yeah. Yeah.
what the
Yeah.
hell, man? Like, but when I see things like these happen, right? When I see the goodness coming out of having faith, um, I often think that um, it is important to have faith. Would you agree?
You always think that it is important to have
Important to
faith.
have faith in something
Why?
if it is giving you a moral compass.
That if is the primary part. You have made faith the primary part of that sentence, and then if को तुमने secondary बना दिया.
Hmm.
But I think it's
Hmm.
possible to be good without faith. And if you want to use your faith as a reason to be good, I'm with you. Totally, go for it. But the problem is, we have started treating faith as the only path to goodness, and that is just frankly not true. There are plenty of people who are
Hmm.
faithless, like me, who would. I have never killed anyone. I have never committed a crime. I have never hurt people intentionally. So I like, again, I'm not holding myself up as a paragon of virtue. I'm not. But I'm just saying ki you don't have to believe in God or follow a religion in order to be good.
Hmm.
If you are good despite being religious, you have my full support.
Hmm.
And if your religion is causing you to do good things, to stand up for people who need help, to oppose the tyrannical, etc., etc., again, more powerful, more power to you. But we also have to be cognizant of the fact that as long as we are continuously referring to religion as good,
Hmm.
we are also falling into the trap where we don't recognize when religion is doing bad.
But
If
we
we
are
keep
also,
repeating religion is good, religion is good, religion is good, then we will not see when religion is bad.
but I would argue, Masum, just one point, then I will let you. I would argue that if there is a good, also there is a defined evil then, right? I mean, evil is a
Yeah,
very
yeah,
loose
yeah,
term
yeah,
again.
yeah.
I mean, but
In
I'm
fact,
just
that
trying to.
takes me to an interesting point that I'll make after Masoom is done, which is
Masum,
again
you were asking
evolutionary.
something. Yeah.
Faithful means good is what we are arguing,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
automatically means faithless is bad, which is
Yeah,
not true.
yeah,
That's
Because
also true. Yeah.
जितने लोग फेथफुल है वो लोग भी क्राइम करते हैं और फेथलेस लोग भी अच्छा करते हैं. Like the opposite also happens. If you look
Hmm.
at it statistically, countries that believe in religion, theocratic places, have the highest level of crime.
Hmm.
Religious, वो
yeah.
वाला क्राइम वहां पे सबसे ज्यादा है. एंड कंट्रीज जहां पे एथिज्म ज्यादा स्ट्रांग है वहां पे क्राइम, रिलीजियस बेस्ड क्राइम कम होते जाते
Hmm. Okay,
But
So
Masoom, I have a question for you here. Can you guess how many percentage of atheist people are in India?
in India,
Yeah, percentage of
म-
population.
single digit ही है from
You'll be
has to be
surprised. But guess
eight,
kar.
like eight.
when is the survey
No,
from? Which
It's
yeah,
year?
2011 census
Oh,
survey.
okay. Huh.
Census. Uske
Then
20.
I
according.
know.
Yeah.
You know, all right. What a
That's
way to
why I
throw
didn't
me
ask
under
you.
the bus. And make, uh,
No, it's okay. I could be wrong. I also read it quite some
No,
time
but
ago. But
I wanted to sort of see where your brain goes when I ask you this question also. Go on.
below five. Anything below five, I think.
Fair
5%.
enough. Fair enough. The answer is 0.27%, which is a total of 28 lakh people who
wow, Masoom
That's
froze
it?
as a result of that realization.
yeah.
Dude, wow. But I totally get it. A lot of people base their entire lives on what they are taught. And this is not just religion. अगर किसी को arranged marriage सिखाया गया है, तो they just believe in that. And it's very hard for them to come out of it because their life depends on it. Like in
Yeah.
stand-up shows also, if I go make fun of someone who has gone through जिसकी शादी arranged marriage से हुई है, and if I pick on them, they will be like, dude, ये मेरे पूरे life का belief system है कि मैं मेरा partner नहीं
Hmm.
choose कर सकता और मेरे माँ बाप choose कर सकते हैं. Now if you shit on me and make fun of me, of course I'll take offense. So for them to come out of that is also very difficult. For a religious person to become atheist, they have to leave behind everything that their parents taught and their family traditions taught. Who fed
Hmm.
them? So
Yeah.
it's actually a form of rebellion. That's why बहुत सारे लोग ये thought पहले ही स्पर्श कर देते हैं कि मुझे माँ बाप को disappoint नहीं करना है. मुझे मेरे family के मुझे religion के खिलाफ जाना is not the question as much as मुझे मेरे माँ बाप को disappoint नहीं करना है. A lot of people we know still believe in religion just because they are like, dude, मम्मी उपवास रखती है तो मैं भी रख रहा हूँ.
You know what? It's a very interesting point that you made because this also derives from authority, right? Because like your parents are an authority which you have put in
Yes,
a pedestal by default. Like I mean,
yes.
it's not anybody's fault. Like they just give birth to you, they raised you, they gave you your morals and understanding of the world, so you automatically put them on a pedestal until a point where you don't, right? Until a
Hmm.
point comes in your life where you feel like you have maybe outgrown your parents, right? Where you think that हम पहले बच्चे थे, now they are the kids in this situation, right? Where you have to take care of them. I think that is the point where a lot of people have crisis of faith. And I mean, that is just my theory that a lot of people have a crisis of faith when the one authority figure they believe in just goes away or becomes like this being which is not that powerful anymore or seems like you understand that being more than you used to. You
If
had to
I
say
feel
something.
if you just question authority enough, you will realize that that person doesn't really hold authority. Like even in case of parents, it's not
Hmm.
about them being children or growing old as much as you just one day get up and ask, do you really deserve to be parents? Was there a book? Were you guys
Mm,
ready to be parents? Once you start
interesting.
asking those questions, what's your merit to be a parent? You guys just got married and had sex and now I am the product. Were you ready to be a parent? Do you take
Mm,
responsibility of all the damage you cause? Once you ask these questions to any authority, you will realize that that authority is not that powerful.
Hmm.
interesting. Vimo,
I don't know what I can add to that, honestly. But I think that to return to a slightly older point that
you were going to
Masoom
make
had
an
made.
interesting point, which I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
you,
I
yeah,
have. I'm trying to remember the interesting point that I said
the
I'm going to make,
evolution
and
of
I'm.
something
My
you were
fear
saying.
is that what if I make a point and it is not interesting and it is not even. Yeah, I remember now.
Should I remind you?
No, no, no. I remember. I
Uh,
remember. So the point I was making was that first of all, uh, Masoom said right. We when we say faithful is good and faithless is bad, every faithful person is also faithless according to someone else's religion, right? So
yes, yeah,
good or
that's
evil
true.
based on religion is a point, but which religion? Every
Mm,
religion will claim to be the keeper
one
of
true
goodness,
religion.
right? And the second point is that based on this, evolutionarily, religion was always a defining characteristic of in groups and out groups.
Hmm.
So every religion is like हम अच्छे हैं, वो लोग अच्छे नहीं है.
Hmm.
What is happening today is that वो लोग की कैटेगरी में एक ग्रुप ऐसा भी आ गया है जो किसी भी रिलीजन का नहीं है. And therefore,
Hmm.
when religious people try to describe us, they say things like atheism is also religion because they cannot comprehend people not belonging to some kind of faith system.
So
So,
it's like if the entire world is playing football and is in a team, there comes along like of 12 people who are like, we don't want to be in any team and we don't want to play football. So then
yeah,
they're like, oh, but that is your team now, which is
yeah,
your teamless team.
teamless
Or-
team. Exactly.
yeah.
Because they cannot think in terms of non team. Their thinking
Yeah.
has become so accustomed, our social thinking has become so accustomed to thinking of people as being belonging to this team or that team or that team that they cannot think teamless.
All right. There is a third argument, rationale that is given for not believing in deities, obviously by atheists, is it's very inconsistent. Like when you talk about religion, it applies in a certain way to one situation and it seems to apply in a different way to different situations, right? Like if like a raja commits a crime, like if a raja, like say, has like a harem and like uh, does things to women, etc., that will have a milder, it will be considered as a milder sin because the priest who is sort of defining it is saying that no, it's his right to do this, right? Also, privilege comes in, upper caste,
Hmm.
whatever, all of those things come in. On the other hand, if a lower caste person, for example, or a dalit sort of commits a crime, suddenly that has more of a sinful value attached to it, right? Because and it is also an expectation that is heaped on them, which is, oh हाँ, तुम जो strata से आते हो, तुम जो caste से आते हो, तो तुम तो ऐसा करोगे ही because you were
Hmm.
born in a way that God didn't want you to sort of, or the religion didn't want you to be like
Or
in this
karma didn't
pedestal.
want you to.
Karma didn't want you, etc., right? So it's very inconsistent, right?
Hmm.
um my counter question to that, which I would like to ask you guys, is I mean, there is certain amount of consistency though. Like if you look at it on a larger level, right? If you look at it on a larger level of good versus evil, I'm drawing binaries, I understand, but if you just look at good versus evil, right? Harm no person, right? Every religion says, let's say, harm no person. Uh, then is that inconsistent? That is it.
Well, for the most part, no religion actually says that.
Yeah, exactly. There are religions that say अगर हमारे वाले में नहीं मानता तो ये punishment है, वो punishment है.
हाँ,
harm
That's
नहीं है
हाँ.
also
but
true.
consequence है. तो
That's
Almost
also
every
true.
religion does it. Almost. Like, I wouldn't say every single one does, but most major religions do have plenty of support for violence, for sexism, for patriarchy, for casteism, for racism, for slavery, even.
Hmm. Hmm.
So when most people are talking about all this, they are trying to they deliberately overlook all of that, and they pick one or two verses from here and there कि नहीं देखो कितना peaceful है, देखो कितना peaceful है, and they just stick to that. And I
Hmm.
think that atheists actually know more about religion than most religious people do, because if they did study their own books, they would probably have to come to the conclusion that their religion is not as peaceful as they have been led to believe.
Also, studying the book doesn't really mean that you don't question it, right? Studying in a very real sense, when you study
Yeah,
something, you're
yes,
actually questioning the thing that you're studying, right? You're not
yeah,
just
yeah,
like reading it and believing everything that it is saying.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I mean,
when when
that's a
when
bit of
people
a.
say that, when people say ki, how can you reject my religion without having read all the books in it, the question to them should be, there are a few hundred religions on earth, you have rejected every single one of them except yours. Did you do that after reading the religious texts of all those religions? Nobody does. Nobody even really reads their own texts. They
that's what
just like
also
to
an
bandy
atheist
this
is.
statement about पहले book पढ़ के आओ.
That's what also an atheist is. I just believe in one less religion than you do.
Yeah,
You believe in
Yeah.
yours. I don't believe in any of them.
there are
Yeah.
hundreds, you believe you rejected 99 of them.
Yes,
I rejected 100 of them. That's all.
I wouldn't say everybody actively rejects. Okay, यहाँ पे थोड़ा सा complicated भी हो सकता है, but I wanted to poke your brains a bit, right? I wouldn't say
Hmm.
that everybody just comes in and rejects all other religions, right? They're born into it. I'm born into a Hindu society, right? I'm born into a Hindu
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
I technically had no choice, right? I was not like, ideally, in an ideal world, it should have been that I'm born nameless and I'm born in a certain temporary fashion until a point where I'm like
Mm.
of a age where I'm actually able to take my own decisions. I set my own name
Right.
and I pick my own faith, right? Like I pick a career, for example, right? And
Yeah.
I pick like any lifestyle choice that I make, right? um I'm not allowed to do that with religion though. But it's not like I rejected all the other religions, right? I didn't even know they existed, to in a very
Right.
real sense. I was grown up in it, so this is what I believe in now, and I don't think the others really exist anymore.
I think it's more a matter, it's less a matter of you not having choice and more a matter of choice being deliberately taken away from you when you were a child, right?
Hmm.
You, when you say
Right.
you grew up in a Hindu family, Hinduism is not a, it's not a natural occurrence. It's a belief
Hmm.
system adopted by a family. You grew up in that family. The people in that family who existed before you told you everything about that religion and you accepted it. Same happens
Yeah.
to Islam, same happens to Christianity, same happens to Buddhists and Zoroastrians, I suppose. But it's childhood indoctrination. That is the
Hmm.
single greatest cause behind the continued existence of religion. बच्चों को हम लोग बचपन में ब्रेन वॉश करते हैं एंड दैट इज व्हाई इट एग्जिस्ट्स.
Hmm. But that is how it thrives also.
Yeah,
That is how
yeah,
beliefs thrive, right?
yeah.
There's
Like
this
imagine a child who grows up in a family like he's not, he or she or they are not told to be told that they are part of a religion or
yeah.
that this is God, and they're told about cosmology instead कि ये Jupiter है, ये black hole है, ये nebula है, ये galaxy है. They will have a, like they still will understand what religion means because they're surrounded by religious people, but they
Hmm.
will not be as emotionally attached to it as someone who has never met anyone from another religion.
Hmm.
There are places in India where you can spend your entire lifetime without meeting someone from another religion, and
Yeah.
then
Yes.
when that person turns out to be, nahi mera hi religion sach hai, are we really surprised? Of course they didn't have any, they were not allowed to explore other options.
Yes.
And isn't that, I would say, isn't that one of the reasons why religious divisions are also increasing in the world right now,
Oh yeah, yeah,
where a lot of people, when they have the consciousness to actually understand what a religion is, they suddenly have this plethora of other religions also, like people of other faiths believe in different deities, just
yeah,
coming into their face and saying, but tu to galat hai, तू
yeah,
तू तो गलत है क्योंकि मैं सही हूँ, एंड देन ही इज लाइक,
yeah, at
बट
least,
मैं सही हूँ तू गलत है, राइट?
नहीं, या
इट्स
at
Yes.
दिस.
least तू अकेला सही नहीं हो सकता, right? You have a view,
Okay.
I'm okay with it, but here are 10 other views. Even if you don't agree with them, you will be exposed to them, and then you will be forced to think maybe this is not the entire truth. I think metropolitan cities are one of the biggest weapons against organized religions. And
Hmm.
one of the biggest
Right.
weapons against metropolitan cities is casteism, because हमारे जात के लोग यहाँ रहते हैं, उनके जात के लोग, ये जो कोऑपरेटिव हाउसिंग सोसाइटीज में कास्ट को देख के मकान नहीं मिलना, that thing is anti metropolitan city, and metropolitan
Hmm.
cities are anti communalism.
Organized religion.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So in a lot of ways I would say the internet is anti-religion, because the internet in a lot of ways is also exposing people to so many belief systems at the same time that it is making them question their own, right?
In the
I feel
short
like,
term, in the
yeah,
long term, yes. In the long term, yes. In the short term, it's only causing people to double down on the religion
right,
because
right.
they're threatened, right? They enter the internet, they look at so many different options, and they're shit scared, and they double down on the communities which already exist. Like if you're a staunch follower of any religion, you get exposed to so many different views, and you're like, mere log ka hai, mere log ka hai. And then you go back there, you
Hmm.
double down, you are fed WhatsApp forwards from morning to night, and in the short term, the internet is going to make you more religious. But in the really longer term, like generations, if something like this continues, it is going to be an anti-religion force.
It
Hmm.
depends on your sense of tribalism. The
Right.
more you are attached to your religion, the more you'll be like, मुझे मेरे वो मैं इन लोग के साथ, the way he pointed out, मैं इन्हीं लोग के साथ रहूंगा.
Hmm.
That's what internet does in the short term.
Hmm.
But long term, I think it's the freest platform. 100% free नहीं है, उस पर भी बहुत सारे restrictions है. But that's the freest platform we have. Because I disagree, I can quietly look up the other opinion and read it without participating in an argument with someone. अगर मैं
Hmm.
किसी के साथ आर्ग्यू कर रहा हूँ, they know I am open to my faith being questioned. But अगर मैं ऑनलाइन चुपचाप देख लूँ, with nobody knowing what I'm searching for, it can still backfire in case of religion in the long run.
Interesting. So essentially, you're looking at the performative aspect of it also, right? Like if you are threatened, if your religion is threatened, if your belief is threatened, you have two choices. One is you be silent. You basically rationalize your own religious beliefs by finding reasons ki nahi nahi, I still have faith because of ABCD reasons, right? I still believe in my religion. Or the other thing you can do is that the person or the article or the content that actually made you feel threatened, you start attacking that, where you are expressing very loudly that listen, this is not right, you are not allowed to make me question my own religion, right? And then there are 10 other people that stand up which also say, oh hey, we also feel threatened, by the way. And then you're like, oh yeah yeah, come, let's form
Yeah,
a
yeah.
tribe, and then we will attack it together. Hashtag boycott Bollywood for hurting Hindu sentiments or
So no,
whatever
uske
else.
uske piche actually, like, even Meghnad, I think you will agree that hashtag boycott Bollywood is not an organic phenomenon.
It's not. Yeah, 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 absolutely it's not.
And
I think.
internet sociology and religion can be an entirely different episode of this show.
Oh yeah, that's actually
Yeah,
a very interesting
yeah.
question. Guys, if you are watching this or listening to this and you have more questions, please leave them in the comments below. Right. Okay. Final argument, which I would put forward for atheism. Right. Okay. So think about it this way. Right. The so the rejection of certain concepts cannot be falsified, right? For example,
Yeah,
um, if I reject a religion, which is let's say it's a concept, right? That in itself, that act of rejection, that can't be falsified, right? So in a way, when I'm worshipping a deity, right, or a concept, or I have faith in a concept, that process itself proves that God exists or does not exist. It goes both ways. It's very
Right, right,
strange.
right, right.
Right. So if like say I give this example all the time about time, right? Which is if we all believe right now that the time right now is 5:12 p.m. IST where we are sitting, right? Then it is 5:12 p.m. IST where
yeah.
we are sitting. But there might be someone else who can come in and say कि नहीं, but अभी तो 12 बजा है, because I
Hmm.
believe कि 12 बजा है, because time at the end of the day is a collective belief system, right?
Right.
So time is a thing that we have created for our own convenience. So which means that God might be something that we have created for our convenience as well. Agree, disagree, both ways,
I agree
please.
that God is something we have created. But
Yeah.
the reason behind our creating God was, as I said, at least somewhat evolutionary. And when religion got built on top of that, it became toxic in multiple ways, about which we can keep talking till the cows come home. But yeah, by and large, what you're talking about is
Please talk
consensus.
about how it became toxic.
It became toxic because, so, it's always about power, as I keep saying. It's less about rationality and it's more about power. Most
Hmm.
people who want to, maybe attack a stand-up comedian because he said something that they think is offensive to their religion, are not doing it because they think their God needs the help. They're bullies.
Hmm.
They want to exert power, they want to maintain power, and they have discovered that their religion is a way to help them do that. Most
Hmm.
people think like me. If I rile them up, I can make them do anything. That has become the primary purpose of religion in the present day. Even people who are religious and good people are so scared of these people that they don't raise their voice. They don't say, hey, you are actually doing something that is extremely offensive to my religion, because that is not how I see it. But even they don't speak. So this is not about irrationality. It's not about, like, as we discussed earlier, it's not about knowledge. It's not about knowing everything in the universe. It's about power.
It's about
People
power.
who have power will always want to maintain it. And beliefs of a mythological variety are a very good tool to consolidate power and continue to hold it.
Hmm.
Also, it's the easiest way to gather people. And
Yeah,
Okay.
because whatever we believe in hasn't been proven and it's vague, you can always twist and turn it according to your own convenience till it benefits you.
yeah.
Okay. Like a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
More powerful than a Ponzi scheme, I suppose. Because listen, let's. Do you really want me to say that religion is a Ponzi scheme?
You can. I'm not getting into trouble for this. If you say, if you take the name of a specific religion and then say that it's a Ponzi
Oh
scheme,
yeah,
then people will
absolutely.
have a
Yeah, yeah,
trouble.
yeah. Which is
If
what I
you
have
say
been trying to
religion in
avoid to do.
general, so then you can always say कि नहीं मैं ये तेरे religion के बारे में थोड़ी बात कर रहा था, मैं तो वो religion के
Yeah,
बारे में बात कर. You
and
also
people
believe
can
it's a
always say,
Ponzi
okay,
scheme, right? Like,
वो लोग Ponzi scheme है, हम लोग नहीं है.
exactly. Masoom, interestingly enough, that I was thinking, right? There are two kinds of people who go to places of worship, right?
Hmm.
And this is actually coming back to your point, which you said about parents raising your kids, right? There are those who actually have faith, and then they go to these religious spaces to basically express their faith in a very community format, right? Then
Hmm.
there are those who go with people who have faith, right?
Yeah,
And you can actually identify these people if you just glance around
Yes,
in a
yes, yes.
yeah, you can see
घड़ी
who
देख
has,
लोगे.
yeah, who has come here because someone else has faith, utmost faith, and brought
Right,
them
right,
with them. um, I have literally been to so many, let's say ceremonies recently in the recent years where I have been doing this. And what I've realized is that about 90% of the people there are just there for the community aspect of religion
right, right.
more than the faith, right?
Hmm.
Should we call them atheists?
Well, I wouldn't call anyone an atheist without asking them if they believe
Yeah,
or
it's
not.
for them to decide.
Yeah, yeah.
But in a way, okay, let's put it this way. We started off by defining atheism, which is a lack of belief in a god or entity, right?
Hmm.
Here I can see clearly that they have, I mean, I'm assuming, I should say, I'm assuming that they are here because they don't genuinely believe in the faith, but they believe in the community, they believe what comes with it, they believe in the food that they eat on that day, they like the dressing up part of it, they like certain aspects of ceremony which they enjoy, right? uh, it's not necessarily about faith there. So in a way they are also rejecting that faith, and they are sort of indulging in a community aspect or a ceremonial aspect of a particular ritual, right? So in a way they're atheists, right?
I feel your faith is tested not when you're hanging out with other people and when you're in tough times. If you
Okay.
are in a tough time, तुम सेरेमनी पे नहीं बिलीव कर रहे हो, तुम वाईफाई ढूंढ रहे हो हॉल में, दैट्स फाइन. अगर तुम्हारा प्लेन क्रैश हो रहा है एंड यू इमीडिएटली स्टार्ट प्रेइंग, दैट मींस यू आर अ लेजी रिलीजियस पर्सन जो अपने कन्वीनियंस के हिसाब से भागते रहते
Yeah.
Interesting.
हो. इन
Vimo,
टाइम्स
what
ऑफ
will happen if you're in a plane and it is, what will you do
दैट्स अ ट्रिकी
instinctively?
वन, दैट्स
Yeah.
रियली ट्रिकी.
Wait, you're asking what will happen if I'm in a plane? I hope it flies, man.
No, no, if it's like, if it's in a situation where it's like going down 30 seconds left, what do you do?
I will. I feel very afraid, and I hope that, and keep wishing that I had someone sitting to my right who I could talk to, because there is no greater thing than that. Being able to look at someone else's face and to see that, okay, iski bhi meri taraf hat rahi hai. Like shared
Hmm.
human experience, right? I don't think even prayer helps that much. To talk to a human being, hold their hands, and I think this is
Empathy is
hardly
the
ever
best
talked
when
about.
someone empathizes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. लाइक कार्ल सेगन सर ना पेल ब्लू डॉट इतना छोटा सा प्लैनेट है, जितने लोगों को तुम जानते हो, जितने लोगों से प्यार करते हो, जितने लोगों से नफरत करते हो, आज तक जितने लोग पैदा हुए हैं, सब यहीं पे हैं, कोई बाहर से
Hmm.
नहीं आ रहा है, एक दूसरे का हाथ पकड़ो. लाइक वन ऑफ द फर्स्ट वीडियोज आई मेड अबाउट एथीज्म वाज कॉल्ड एथीज्म इज अबाउट लव. एसेंशियली
Hmm.
इट्स अबाउट रियलाइजिंग दैट बाहर से कोई नहीं आने वाला, मेरे पास तू है और तेरे पास मैं हूँ. If we
Interesting.
realize this, if we realize this as the core of atheism, like I keep getting angry at teenagers who have made it their mission in life to make memes about how religious people are
Hmm.
stupid. Like you're not helping
Yeah.
Yes,
at all.
Yeah.
yes.
Right?
Yeah,
So
I would never say that religious people are stupid. I don't say people
yeah,
are
yeah,
stupid in general, right? I mean,
yeah,
people are smart in their own ways. They have their
yeah.
own
अगर
skill sets, they have their own levels
Like
of
who's
intelligence.
smarter, a 17-year-old atheist whose greatest skill is making memes, or a scientist who believes in God who has won the Nobel Prize? Clearly the scientist.
Yeah.
Religion
Yeah.
has nothing to do with intelligence. It has
Yeah.
everything to
और
do with our social evolution and childhood indoctrination.
also, if you keep calling religious people atheist, you are not any different from people of
religious people
religion who
stupid.
call other people, like A religion के person B religion के person को stupid बोल रहे हैं because ये लोग को
हाँ.
लगता है मेरा religion better है. बच्चे एथियस्ट भी वही कर रहे हैं कि तुम लोग को
हाँ.
समझता नहीं है. और
Yeah.
अगर तुम कॉन्स्टेंटली इन लोग को डम बुलाते रहो और फिर ये
Hmm.
घूम के तेरे को लाफा मारे तो
हाँ.
Hmm.
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
see
Then
why
you
it
get
happens. I don't
angry ki,
justify
oh,
violence.
I can't handle religious people like this sort of a
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And
In
it
fact, look
becomes
at
like a,
this. Masoom may be an atheist, I may be an atheist, but Meghnad is not. We're having a conversation about these things,
I'm
right?
not an atheist. Oh, I
Yeah.
should have defined my own faith
Oh
also.
shit, yes.
I
I
asked
thought
both of
you're
you. I should have done that. I realize, but this is a great way to end the podcast by my faith is revealed in the end, sort of a thing. Like, Arey,
So,
abhi, there is this very funny thing that happened to me yesterday. I posted, so in United Kingdoms there is this protest march that happened in Leicester, where a bunch of Virat Hindus covering their faces, they marched through this dominantly Muslim area, and then they created some ruckus. They were protesting against crime committed by, I think, a few Muslims who attacked a Hindu shop or something. So there were like tensions that were blowing up there, right? Now these people were walking with covered faces. Obviously, उनको
hmm.
अगर identify करते तो वो deport हो जाते because they are
Yeah.
clearly people on visa, right? So I posted, see Virat Hindus spreading the greatness of India across the world, right? There is this account that came, which is farts longer. It says, right? It's at the rate farts longer, which said, "I am ashamed of you." I'm like, what? So I screenshotted it. I put it up. I made a post out of it. I was like, oh my god, how will I show my face again? But then the person responded again, saying that I am ashamed of you because I can't believe we belong to the same religion. I can't believe that you're also a Hindu and you're saying such things. I can't be, therefore, I am ashamed of you, right? Now, this is a sentiment I get often, not just from random trolls called
Hmm.
farts longer, but also my family, right? Sometimes where I'm arguing like we are arguing today. It gets uncomfortable and it gets very heated sometimes and it becomes crazy. So that used to happen with me a lot when I was a teenager. Um, गणेश चतुर्थी होता था तो I would be one of those people who is going there because I'm going with someone with faith, right? Um, then I started questioning. I at some point considered myself as an atheist. I was like, I don't believe in any god. I don't believe in anything. But then certain incidents happened in my life which were just nutty. Like I couldn't really process how things have happened to me sometimes. Like random events that have happened which are result of pure chaos, right? Like just random events. Like um like I've been part of riots. I've been part of like protests and all these places that I've been to. Some of them seemed so surreal that I started believing in a higher power, right? That
Hmm.
I was like, some higher power is basically mera chutiya kaat raha hai, right? Basically, he's just forcefully putting me into these random situations that I don't understand to test me,
it's
right?
your
Hmm.
bad karma.
I wouldn't say they were all bad though. That's the thing, right? I mean,
Oh,
some
He
of
found
them which I
order. He basically did what any pattern seeking animal does.
It does. But like
Yeah.
for example, some of the events which seemed bad when they happened, uh, in retrospect, they were actually good because they led me where I am today, which I'm very happy with, right? So perspective also changed over time, right? About whether an event was bad or good. So I don't look at these events or bad or good anymore. I just look at them as gray, right? They're just
Yeah.
at one point they were good.
Which they are,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
all the conclusions you are coming to about whether they were good or bad are your impressions of them. They themselves don't have any
precisely.
quality.
Precisely. So I would define my faith as I believe in a higher power, but it is just something ill defined or undefined for me, which means it is God, right? So because that is the concept of God that I go with, that anything that I don't understand is sort of an higher power, which I would have faith in. I wouldn't worship it. I wouldn't put it on a pedestal. I just want to have faith in that something which I don't understand. Does that make sense?
Hey man, you're the editor of this show. I'm not going to disagree with you. पता नहीं क्या काट देगा मेरा. पता चला कुछ कटआउट वर्जन निकला जिसमें I appear to be so offensive that I get attacked. No, you're totally right.
No, tell me, Masoom, Vimoh, please.
If you have faith, that means you are putting it on a pedestal. That's what faith is.
But I'm not defining this power at all. It's
I
just
think it might be
chaos.
useful if you did define it.
I would
Yeah.
define it as chaos. I would define it as randomness, or just
Then why not call
my
it randomness?
inability to control everything.
No, my question is this: why do you call it God? Why not call it the universe or just randomness?
I mean, I would call it the universe. I usually do call it the universe. I have the faith in the power of the universe, is what I say. For
Hmm.
right now, ELI10, I was saying that is God for me in
Okay.
understandable terms. I refer to it as, the universe at large. Yeah.
See,
You're
my
right.
problem is my problem and my point also is that a lot of people who equate the word universe and God are at least kind of sort of fooling themselves a little bit because the word God has a meaning, right? It implies
Sure.
consciousness, intention, compassion, etc. And the universe does
Sure.
not appear to have any of those things.
Interesting. Hmm.
No, there is no evidence, there is no part of our scientific understanding of the universe which necessitates a conscious, compassionate being. We
Hmm.
know how things work for the most part, and no part of our actual understanding of the universe tells us that this part we don't understand, it needs an intelligent agent. Like if you go to American evangelical Christians with delusions about intelligent design, you'll get some fart idea. But practically speaking, no scientist will point at a thing and say, this thing cannot be explained through any means other than intelligence. So
Hmm.
why not simply? I think you may be. I'm not talking about you specifically. I think maybe some theists might be prisoners to the idea of God, the word God itself. There
Interesting.
are
Right.
many atheists. There are many atheists who don't believe in any religion, any superstition, but they will just hold on to the word God because it has currency in pop culture. If you let go of that word, if you keep saying universe, eventually you may come to a place where you will be like, yeah, I live in a universe. So what?
That's actually interesting. I have no idea why I interchanged that word. I've never realized this, but I was like,
बिकॉज़ पॉप कल्चर राइट? अभी अभी कुछ टाइम
interesting.
पहले मासूम का वीडियो लैग हुआ था तो मेरे मुँह से निकला ओह गॉड!
Yes.
इट्स बिकम एन एलिमेंट ऑफ लैंग्वेज. लोग कहते हैं कि वो वाटर कूलर के पास 4 बंदे खड़े थे. ये बंदे क्या होता है? अल्लाह के बंदे से आया है ना. It has become
Hmm.
part of language. We all use it and that is why insidiously it also lives within us a little bit.
OMG. That
So we
actually
haven't,
blew my mind.
हम एथियस्ट लोगों ने भी रिलीजन 100% लेट गो नहीं किया है.
हाँ, हाँ. Yeah,
Maybe
exactly.
we can't though, because again, as Vimoh
Tribalism.
said, yeah,
Yeah.
tribalism. And also, there is a feeling that I want to be a part of something. I don't want to feel alone. I want to be a part of a
Huh,
tribe or like
the cool thing
like-minded people.
is that you can be a part of things like a Lord of the Rings fandom or a Star Wars fandom or a Comic Con or podcasting community and all that.
The tragic part is that true atheists don't believe in forming cults.
No, no,
Nah.
no. I totally do. Like
Oh,
communities, right? Communities.
cults,
No,
cults.
not cults. Cults is
Uh-huh.
a dirty word. Communities.
Yes,
Community is
cult
the
is a
word
Community.
I'm
very
going with.
dirty word.
Okay, so I declare that if any of you who are watching this or listening to this or whatever want to join the atheist community that Vimoh has started, Masoom, would you join?
Oh, 100%.
Chalo, I am also now a part of this ambiguous atheist community that Vimo is starting. So Vimo, we will not put you on a pedestal. We will not listen to anything you say, right? As true atheists, and we will basically just keep arguing with you about the meaning of God.
You are the
Just and
17
Absolutely.
year old atheist he was talking about. You are exactly that 17.
If it's any
Okay,
consolation to anyone who
yeah,
has just listened to that, more than 50% of the people in my so-called atheistic community are actually followers of some religion. They're
interesting.
conscientious objectors to the evils of their own religion. So if that
What
helps,
does that mean? If you can just define that, I that find that very confusing.
they
Yeah.
understand the importance of not letting religion get into everything. They are happy to follow their religion
The
in the
good part.
privacy of their home. They believe in God, but they also recognize the problems with letting religion into science laboratories, into policy making offices, into schools and colleges, into sadak
Mm.
pe, etc., etc.
So
So
they
And
are
they
against
understand that.
majority of the
organized
population.
religion.
They're against organized religion, yes. And also political religion, politicizing religion, putting religion in science labs, denying evolution, and all that.
But
Interesting.
I think that's majority of the population. Most of our
I
parents
suppose
are
so.
like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, 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 yeah. Well, it's
Because
just
हम
that
लोग
the ones who are that minority is very vocal.
very vocal, very loud. Also, please, it's in our echo chamber because वो लोग हम लोग से argue करते हैं, हम लोग
Hmm.
counter argue करते हैं, तो हम लोग को लगता है majority population से. Most of our parents
हाँ.
are sane people who will be like policy
Guys,
making में मत डालो.
funniest story that happened to me recently. Okay, I am a part of an RWA group, right, in Delhi. I am that Delhi uncle now who is a part of an RWA group where there are all these plethora of uncles who are complaining about Malba and like sewer fix nahi hai, CCTV laga do, etc. It's just community problems. Now we have a big problem right now. A certain animal which is worshipped by a certain religion um, keeps coming to the park and doing things that they should not be doing. Right? I'm just saving myself, guys. Please, huh?
Hippos, man.
Understand.
Hippos are hard.
Hippopotamuses, yeah,
Yeah.
hippopotamuses are coming there and they're doing their thing, right? Now, this one guy who is a believer in hippopotamuses, he's like, "Boss, what is this?" Sorry, he's not.
It's
I mean, he's not
hippopotami, by the way.
hippopotamus. No, there's this one guy who lives right across the building where these hippopotamuses come. So he's like, "Oh my god, this is very annoying. They can't just like come and do their thing and just be
Hmm.
there. And I can't take my dog out to walk there. I can't go myself to exercise there." And a few, two, three other people also said, "Yeah, yeah, we need to figure out a solution." Now, one RWA uncle was like, "No, would so wouldn't would this hippopotamus go to that other religious place where they hate hippopotamuses, huh, where they eat hippopotamuses? So where will these hippopotamuses go, huh? They'll come here only, na, where all the hippopotamus lovers live, right? So he was just one person who
Yeah.
was going nuts on the group, right? Nobody said anything for 3 days until one person came and said, "So we worship snakes also. Should I just release some snakes in your house?" And then it's like, oh, oh, great blow by another RWA uncle. And then someone else came, "Oh, yeah, I know some people who worship peacocks. I think I should leave some peacocks in his house now." And then they just started forming an animal kingdom inside his house just based on the faith that he believes in, right?
What's the
It's like, "Oh,
conclusion
yeah,
then?
we have a god with elephant. So elephants also, I guess."
Also,
So,
vultures. Jatayu was a
vultures.
vulture.
Yeah, yeah. Funniest thing, but then that guy shut up. He deleted all of his past but it's very nice to see that 2-3 दिन लगा वो होने के लिए, but हुआ. Like they didn't take him that seriously because it was genuinely an inconvenience, right? And a lot of people were inconvenienced. They're just afraid to say that they were inconvenienced by hippopotamuses who everybody worships.
Hmm.
Yeah, I
एक
think I
ट्रोल को
saved
ट्रोल करने को
myself,
बहुत
right?
मजा आता है.
Hmm?
एक ट्रोल को ट्रोल करने को बहुत मजा आता है. If you
I
just play
agree.
according to their rules,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. मैं
if
एक
you
बार एक
beat them
फेसबुक
according
पेज
to
पे
their rules, they have nothing to say.
मैं एक बार एक फेसबुक पेज पे कुछ पोस्ट किया था एंड somebody said you are insulting my god and said no I'm not because your god came to me in a dream last night and told me to put this up and he said ha 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 ha. I said what's the matter, you don't believe in it now? I'm telling you your god told me.
Okay, I think this is a great way to end the podcast. We have a few minutes. Vimo, give me arguments to argue that God doesn't exist as an atheist. What are the arguments like these that you use? And also,
Arey,
Masoom, if you have any.
my arguments are usually based on what a person in front of me is saying.
Hmm.
So I don't say one of the perils of being someone who is known as who gives arguments is that people think that you have some ready-made solution which one size fits all. ये बोल दूंगा तो
Interesting.
सब चुप हो जाएंगे. ऐसा नहीं है. Depend करता है सामने वाला क्या बोल रहा है. Most people don't even have the same definition of God. For
Yes.
example,
Hmm.
you brought up like अगर हमको ब्रह्मांड के बारे में सब कुछ पता होगा तो हम गॉड को मानना बंद कर देंगे. नहीं, some people will say नहीं, God is not about knowledge, it's about faith. Some people say God is about this specific location. Some people say God is about the universe. God is not even intelligent, someone will say. It's a very
Hmm.
slippery thing. So मैं हमेशा जब बात करता हूँ मैं कभी भी मतलब प्री सपोज नहीं करता कि मैं समझ सकता हूँ कि सामने वाला क्या कह रहा है. इवन तो देयर आर अ bunch of definitions that are flying around which are really popular. मैं बोलता हूँ कि you tell me what do you believe and why do you believe it. and then we
Hmm.
start the conversation. And I think that's a very good way of starting conversations. We should not say ki we know what God means, because every time you do that, somebody will come, no, that's not that. My definition is this. And if you address
Interesting.
that, there will be another one. There are 10
Interesting.
million definitions of God depending on 10 million followers of God. So just
Interesting.
listen to people and then respond.
It's like defining liberalism or
Yeah,
Yeah,
secularism.
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Masum, any any particular, do you have these arguments with people, or is this like a rare occurrence for you in life?
Argument on religion. मेरे
On
घर पे
atheism, religion,
my
just
house,
God in general.
there were a couple of rituals we used to follow as religious celebrations,
Hmm.
and it was a thing that only men will participate. I have a younger brother, father,
Hmm.
and a mom, and I said, अगर माँ participate नहीं कर रही है तो ये घर पे नहीं होगा,
Hmm.
because
Nice.
according to caste system women are only considered upper caste जब भी शादी होती है या जब भी सोना वोना लेना रहता है, उनको राइट सिर्फ दलित बहुजन आदिवासियों के ही दिए जाते हैं, पढ़ नहीं सकते, कमा नहीं सकते. सो आई वाज लाइक
Hmm.
हमारे घर में ये नहीं होगा. मेरे को उनको बिठा के पहले मुझे यूट्यूब से सीखना पड़ा, फिर मुझे बिठा के उनको समझाना पड़ा, और अभी पिछले 3 साल से वो नहीं हो रहा है. बट
Oh,
इट्स,
Nice.
interesting.
yeah, I was like ये नहीं होगा. The things
Hmm.
came and then we gave it away without performing the ritual.
Hmm.
So I was like, I am, जितना मुझे समझता मैं वो हिसाब से फाइट बैक करने का ट्राई करता हूँ. Also, I realized if you know your argument is strong, and we are we are basing our arguments based on logic. If you let religious people talk and make enough arguments, वो लोग अपने आप inconsistent चीजें बोलना चालू करेंगे, and then you can attack them.
Yeah.
Just
Hmm.
keep asking them genuine questions. क्या लगता है ये कैसे होता है वो कैसे होता है, and then they'll make enough arguments where you'll be like ये देखिए मैच नहीं हो रहा है और मेरे वाले
Hmm.
में ये सेंस बनता है. Then
Yeah.
they'll just be like तुम्हें समझता नहीं है, तुम्हारे माँ बाप ने तुम्हें गलत सिखाया है, and they'll bring their emotions and walk away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think I would like to recommend a channel also to both of you and to anyone who might be listening. It's called Street Epistemology. It's
Okay.
a it's run by a guy called Anthony Magnabosco. What he does is that he just takes a board with a piece of paper on it, and he goes to people, randomly meeting people on the street, and he has very polite conversations with them. And the foundation is always this. So, what do you believe in? And then says,
Hmm.
to what level of certainty do you believe in it? 100%, 80%. And then when they say 80 or 90%, he says, okay, let's talk about that 10%. Why do you not believe it completely? It's a very good way of learning how to talk.
Interesting. Interesting.
Street epistemology.
Street epistemology. Okay, guys, anything to plug? And then we will end this show. Vimoh, do you have anything to plug?
I have so many things to plug, but I'll
Go
settle for
on.
my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is youtube.com/Vimo. I make vlogs every week about, I just talk about stuff. It's more like a podcast. I also have a live stream channel at youtube.com/Vimo live, where I go live every Wednesday and Saturday at 9:30 p.m. and we talk about this. People come on screen and we talk about atheism, contemporary politics, culture, etc.
I have been on a few of his streams also. They're damn fun.
Yes, Meghnad is a
I
regular. He just drops in without announcing.
I do. I keep coming in because there are points in my life where I'm like, I need someone to talk to about something that I am confused about, or I need some clarity on. Like for example, today I found out that I am confusing universe with God for no reason. For no reason. I didn't even realize I was doing that. Thank you, Vimo. That is what happens on Vimo's podcast. So please go there. And I would recommend you follow him on Instagram and Twitter. Both are fabulous.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting Instagram for some reason. Like it's where I have most followers, but I keep
Sometimes
forgetting.
I
I
feel
keep
I
saying
promote
YouTube.
your Instagram more than you do, so
Yeah, yeah.
that's
I am
fine.
at instagram.com/Vimo,
Yes.
Vimoh.
Masoom, what do you want to plug?
I only have Instagram to promote. I am on no other social media. Uh,
Okay.
so,
Any shows that you want to plug?
follow me on
What's your
Instagram.
handle? What's your Instagram handle?
It's Masoom_Rajwani. All the show updates
Okay.
are being updated on my Instagram. So
Okay. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Vimo. Thank you, Masoom, for doing this. I hope you had fun. I hope your heads
Oh yeah.
hurt. Yeah.
lots of fun.
uh yeah, lots of fun. And thank you, listeners, for joining in. Thank you, everyone, for watching this is a little bit of a different topic that we chose today, because I am also trying to show you what ELI10 is all about. We will be also dealing with subjects like these, which are uncomfortable, which people don't really talk about much. But I want you to talk about it. I want you to talk about it with everyone. I want you to talk about it with me, Masoom. Vimo, and we will talk to each other as well. This has been ELI10. I hope you enjoyed the episode. This episode, if you're watching this, we are also on many podcast platforms. So check us out there. If you're listening to this, then we are also on YouTube. Come subscribe there. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.
Bye bye.